What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another episode of Predict the Prem, where me and my brother go head-to-head in predicting Premier League outcomes. We also have two games to review that did happen last night, which we gave our predictions for. Just before we get into it, the scores at the moment are 243 to Sim, 252 to me, and the way the scoring works, it's 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result, and the star man, once you pick that man, you cannot pick them again for the rest of the season. In 5 points for a goal, 3 points for an assist. And let's get into the games from last night, starting off with Brighton against Crystal Palace in that big derby down there, and it finished 1-0 to Brighton. Sim went for 1-0 to Brighton. I went for 1-1, so Sim gets a big fat 5-pointer for this one. I didn't see much of it. I saw a few of the highlights. I mean, I thought Solly March looked really good. Mitoma getting another assist for himself, and Brighton taking all 3 points and leaves Patrick Vieira and Crystal Palace with yet another game without a win.
Yeah, and another game without a goal as well. And they really did struggle throughout the game, to be honest. I only, watched the second half, and Palace, they kind of huffed and puffed without ever really threatening Brighton, and they seemed to really lack ideas. They were swinging crosses into the box, which the keeper was easily gobbling up. They were playing through balls in behind to no one running onto them. Brighton, on the other hand, looked fresh, dynamic. They were the ones on the front foot. They didn't create a bucket load of chances, but they looked a lot fresher than Crystal Palace did, and much more full of ideas when they were in the final third than Palace did. And I think that was one interesting moment in the second half when, with 20 minutes to go, Vieira took off Olise and brought on Jordan Ayew, and the Palace fans started to boo. They started to boo the substitution, and all of a sudden, is that maybe where they're at the moment? And we heard this morning from Ed Aaron saying that Patrick Vieira is under severe pressure now. They are considering making a change after 10 winless games, or more than 10 winless games now, and they still can't buy a goal. And with that defeat, they are very much in this relegation battle now, and they shouldn't be with their team.
No, I completely agree, especially with what they showed last year with the football that they were playing. I mean, Conor Gallagher was so central to that. They seem to have lost a lot with him going, but they shouldn't have lost as much as they have done. And I've been seeing discontent from the Crystal Palace fans for a while now. I mean, we haven't had a win since, what was it, October or something crazy like that. So if you're not going to think about a managerial change now, when are you going to think about it? Because they are really getting themselves involved with a scrap in the bottom half of the table. It's so tight down there. Anything can happen from now to the end of the season, literally. But the other game that we did have last night was Southampton against Brentford at St Mary's. Brentford winning the game 2-0. Sim went 1-1 and I went 2-0. So I get a big fat 5-pointer for this one. And a bit fortuitous. I mean, Tony opens the scoring with half an hour in. And then last kick of the game, the 97th minute, Ivan Toney grabs himself an assist. And Wissa puts them 2-0 up. And that's how the game finished. And Ivan Toney, man, what a season he's having. 16 goals, 4 assists in 24 games for Brentford this year. Amazing numbers, man.
Yeah, he's been absolute class, following on from a really strong opening campaign last season as well. He's really proven he's more than good enough to be a Premier League striker, and I think he's going to be hot property this summer, even though he's got all these charges against him. We'll have to wait and see what comes of them. But if he's available and available to play, I mean, there's going to be a host of Premier League clubs interested in someone Ivan Toney, the way he plays. He's been absolute class, and he's really kept that consistency. Brentford, from their point of view, fantastic, hard-fought, ground-out away win. Southampton, to be fair, for the latter stage of the game for them, were really putting Brentford under pressure, but Brentford didn't crack. They were able to hold strong. There was a number of set pieces and crosses swung in the box, but Brentford were able to deal with it, and they did get the second with the last kick of the game to kill off the game. Southampton does keep them rooted to the bottom of the table for them. Another disappointing defeat, and it's they just looked like a team with so inexperienced yesterday. They were kind of panicking in possession in that final third, didn't have that composure. A couple of times they had a chance to really get a good effort on goal, and they didn't make it count. Brentford keep up their great form, and that's only still one loss since in the last, I think, 11 games now, or 12 games, only one loss. So they'll keep that brilliant form going. But Southampton, look, they're only 2 points clear of 17, so by no means out of it, but are they going to be the team? It's just about who puts some consistency together. Is that going to be Southampton? I don't know. I find it difficult to see them doing it.
Yeah, I can't see them, especially as they have the youngest side in the Premier League. I mean, and that younger side doesn't even have too much quality, I'm afraid. So I actually think Southampton at this stage, I think they're going down, to be honest. I really do. It's hard to see like who else is going to go down just because it's so tight. But I do, for me, Southampton are the first team that are going to go down this season. I can't really see them saving themselves. I don't know where the points are going to come from. They can't seem to get any points on the board at the moment. So difficult times if you're a Southampton fan, but let's move on to our Premier League predictions. Not a full host of Premier League action this weekend because there is FA Cup, so there are a lot of teams not playing. But let's start off with the first game, which is Friday Night Football, Nottingham Forest against Newcastle at the City Ground. Me and Simp have gone for the exact same scoreline. With Newcastle, they got their first win in a while last weekend. I'm still not totally convinced about them. With Nottingham Forest, I mean, away from home, they're playing awfully at the moment and losing every single game pretty much. But at home, they're a different outfit. They haven't lost at home for a while now, and they draw a lot of games, especially at home. So I think that this game has got a draw written all over it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think they should have enough to get the point. I don't think Newcastle right now are playing well enough to go to the City Ground and really open them up in the number of times that it will take to get all 3 points, in my opinion. Forest, they're just very resolute at home. They don't lose many games. I think they're still unbeaten at home, aren't they, for a while?
Since September, yeah.
Yeah, so they're still so resolute at home. They're hard to beat. Even Man City, they were trouncing them when they were 1-0 up, and they still couldn't get the win at the City Ground. So
we're the last team to beat them.
I think so, yeah, in September. So I think Newcastle are going to struggle. I can see them taking the lead and having a fast start off the back of a good win, but I just think Nottingham Forest will have enough to claim a valuable point for them.
All right, let's move on to Aston Villa against Bournemouth at Villa Park. 2-1, we've both gone for the exact same scoreline once again. And what's your feeling behind this one?
Yeah, I think Aston Villa at home against a team like Bournemouth will probably come and attack them a bit more, which I don't think, in a weird way, although Aston Villa have been a bit more defensive and defensively organised under Emre, they still do tend to see quite a few goals, and especially in a game like this where they're going to come and try and win this game. Aston Villa, they're going to come and open up and in front of the home crowd, I think, go and attack Bournemouth. So I can see Bournemouth getting a bit of joy on the counter, a bit like how they did against Liverpool last week. But I do think Aston Villa at home, with Watkins in the form he's in, with the talent they have, should have enough to get over the line at home to win the game. So I've gone from to scrape it 2-1.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not totally convinced by Aston Villa, and they actually could be pulled into it if they're not careful. But I think in this game, I'm looking at Aston Villa's home form, and it's actually terrible. They've even lost to Stevenage at home in the Cup this season. Since Unai Emery came in, I think they've only got 2 or 3 wins at home, which is not good enough, to be honest, at Villa Park. But Bournemouth, on the other hand, their best work is coming at home as well, and they're not doing well away from home this season. They beat Wolves a week or two ago, but apart from that, they've lost 9 out of their last 10 away games or something like that. So I think that form will carry on against a Villa team that really need a win to pull themselves away from that kind of relegation scrap in the league at the moment. So I'm going to go for 2-1. And like you said, Ollie Watkins is on real good form at the moment. So I think that firepower should just about see them through this game. And next up is Brentford against Leicester at the Brentford Community Stadium. Sim's gone for 2-1. I've gone for 2-0. Leicester, I mean, I know Maddison's back in the team, but they're still struggling for goals at the moment. They've lost their last 5 games. They're a team bang out of form, and it's baffling to see where they are, Leicester, because they've got a team that should be doing a lot better than what they're showing. You saw before the World Cup, they really started to come into form, started to score goals, started to pick up points. And then since after the World Cup, since Maddison got that injury again, they've just been absolutely shocking. So I really can't see them going to Brentford and getting any points or even scoring a goal. Brentford, on the other hand, one of the form teams in the Premier League, haven't lost in many, many games. So I think Leicester might put them under a bit of pressure in this game, but I think Brentford will come out and take the 3 points. So I've gone for 2-0.
I've gone for 2-1. I think Brentford will. I think they're just a lot stronger team physically, and they're much more up for the fight, and that's why I got them winning this game. I do think Leicester with they're just like a very pretty team that can be bullied, I feel, but they do have some lovely footballers like Maddison and Maddison, Harvey Barnes, these kind of people in their front line. So I do think they should have enough quality to score. I thought last week against Chelsea, they were so unlucky to lose that game in the way they did, and they should have probably gotten something out of it, or at least gotten more than a goal. So I do think they'll go to Brentford with that in mind, and I do think they'll probably get a goal, but I think Brentford will be too strong. So I've gone for 2-1.
Next up, Southampton against Tottenham at St Mary's. Again, we've gone for the exact same scoreline in 2-0 to Tottenham. And yeah, I think just Spurs need to get back to winning ways away from home, and I think Southampton might be the best team for us at the moment. They they'll come and try and play a bit, and I think that will leave spaces open for us. And yeah, we just need to get back to winning ways, and I think we will do that away from home here. So 2-0 to Spurs.
Yeah, against this inexperienced Southampton team who's very young, I do see them putting a lot of energy into the team, but I just feel like Spurs are going to stop them in their tracks a bit in the way that we clog up the pitch a bit, slow the game down. That will suit us, in my opinion. I think we can bully them a bit physically as well, and then I think Southampton will try and pepper us with a few crosses and a few shots on goal, but I'm backing Tottenham to hold strong, and then on the other side of the pitch, just make it count and be devastating when we do get the chance. So I don't see this a game. I actually see this being a game where maybe Southampton have a bit more of the ball than we think, but I think Spurs should be clinical on the counter. So that's why I've gone for 2-0.
Next up is Wolves against Leeds at Molineux. Sim's gone for 2-1. I've gone for 1-0, both to Wolves. And what's your thinking behind this one?
Yeah, I think Wolves against Leeds is a massive game in this relegation scrap now, because they're both definitely in danger of going down at this point. When you're at home against a relegation rival, you have to make sure that first of all you don't lose, but you have to make sure you're going out there and trying to get all 3 points. And I think Wolves at home will try and do that. I think Leeds, they know they need the points. They've been trying so hard recently to get some points on the board, and they've just been so unlucky, and they haven't been able to do it. And I just think Wolves at home, I'm not sure whether it's going to be an open game or it's going to be quite a cagey game. I'm undecided, but I feel like Wolves being at home, it's kind of on them whether it's cagey or open, and I feel like they're going to open it up a bit to try and win the game and believing in their own quality. So, especially with that midfield they have. So I've gone for a 2-1 win for Wolves.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a cagey game, to be honest. Leeds away from home, they just can't seem to buy anything at the moment. They can't even seem to score a goal, albeit they do have a few chances in the game. They can't seem to polish them off. Wolves, on the other hand, a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde team, to be honest. One week they win, 1 week they lose. But I think it will be a win this weekend in a tight game, to be honest. I think Wolves will just about get over the line, and I've actually really been impressed with Raul Jimenez in the last couple of games since he's come back, and I think that he's probably in the last few games played his best football since coming back from that crazy injury that he did have. So maybe he hasn't scored yet, but I think that maybe this weekend will be the weekend. But I think 3 points will be going Wolves' way, and I've gone for 1-0. Sim's gone for 2-1. Next up is Chelsea against Everton. Both of us gone for the exact same scoreline again in 2-0 to Chelsea, and I think that Chelsea are starting to get to grips with life under Graham Potter a little bit in the last couple of games. Since losing to Spurs, I think they've won every single game since then, and I think this weekend will be a follow-on from that. I think Everton, if it was at Goodison, I might have sided with a bit of a closer game, but I think Chelsea will have more than enough to win this game.
Yeah, I think Everton away from home, I think they're going to try and shut up shop, and I just don't know if they have the quality defensively to keep out a Chelsea team, which are really starting to purr at the moment, especially Potter's really gotten them playing now. The confidence is growing, you can feel it. They're starting to score some really good goals, and I feel like at home against an Everton team where you know they're just going to sit back and try and soak up pressure, and I don't think they're going to have it to keep out Chelsea. So I've gone for Chelsea 2-0, a standard win.
All right. Next up, last of the weekend, is Arsenal against Crystal Palace at the Emirates. Sim has gone for 2-0. I have gone for 4-0 to Arsenal, and I think it's going to be an absolute battering against out of form. And just a completely out of form Crystal Palace team who haven't won in a long time. I think it's going to be an absolute demolition job at the Emirates this weekend.
Yeah, Arsenal full on confidence. I think Palace, obviously they can't buy a goal at the moment. They are keeping it fairly tight at the back, although they don't seem to be keeping many clean sheets. They're not conceding too many goals. I think that's what they're going to have to rely on if they're going to have any chance of a point this weekend. So I do expect them to be very resolute, but I just think Arsenal's quality will tell at the end, and I do see them running out victors, but I don't see it being a trouncing.
All right, let's move over to the star men. Sim's gone for Emi Buendia. I've gone for Kai Havertz. And Kai Havertz, I think that has been playing really well the last couple of games, and I expect that form to carry on in a convincing victory for Chelsea this weekend.
Yeah, I just think Buendia at home to Bournemouth, I feel like these are the kind of games where the spaces are tight. He's actually can be quite good in those tight areas, and he's having a half decent season. He's in okay form at the moment. He's got, I think, 4 goals this season. I think at home to Bournemouth, I think he will start, and I think he's got a good chance of getting on the score sheet. So I've gone for Buendia.
All right, so there you have it. That is our Predict the Prem for this weekend. Let me know in the comment section below what your predictions are, who your star men are, and who do you think is going to come out on top this week, me or Sim. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always,
come on you Spurs.